What's up YouTube? Christo here, back with another collection video, going through my records alphabetically, or semi-alphabetically at least. The order makes sense to me, and I'm sure there's a few things that have kind of slipped into the wrong place here and there, but essentially going through my record collection. I'm going to show them off one by one, just kind of mention briefly a little bit about it, and highlight if there's anything special, rare, limited about that release itself. So, starting off with Bell Witch. I picked this up recently, not semi-recently, let's say. I picked up, I wanted to buy Pissgraves. I think it's their second album, and was looking at a couple of other records from the actual record label. It turns out they're from Southern Ontario, which I was quite surprised. Profound Lore. I had no idea there was like a pretty reputable death metal label like putting out Bell Witch and Pissgrave down here. But I grabbed this. It's not that rare, but it is on colored kind of bronze, copper, smoky vinyl. It's pretty good. I discovered them just kind of looking through kind of extreme metal. I've been getting into black metal, which I've never had an interest in my life. I'm getting into that for the first time, and I eventually came across them just through some like related artists, and I liked them. Kind of like extreme doom metal. Pretty good, and I'm into like sludge quite a lot at the moment. So sludge and doom definitely have some interchangeable aspects. Birthday Party, love Birthday Party. I've been listening to them a lot the last few years. Prayers on Fire, pretty good album. This is a repress on Drastic Plastic, 200 gram black vinyl, numbered. Not that special, it's pretty easy to find. I think you can get these really readily online. This has Nick the Stripper, I believe. Yep, Nick the Stripper, which was my introduction to the Birthday Party, which I've got a little story I'll share with the record coming up soon. Hee Haw. I believe this is just an EP with a couple of extra tracks on this pressing, Drastic Plastic as well, and also numbered. And this is solid red, kind of, I don't know, semi-pastel-ish. Not that valuable, rare or anything. Pretty easy to find for a good price. Not my favorite Birthday Party record, but there's a few pretty good tracks on here. Mr. Clarinet, namely. This is it. I'd say this is my favorite studio album the Birthday Party put out. Junkyard. It starts out with She's Hit, and it's also got Hamlet, 6-inch Gold Blade, and Junkyard, which between that, Nick the Stripper and Mr. Clarinet are probably my favorite Birthday Party tracks. There's a live performance of the Birthday Party. I think it's in like 83 or 84 in Holland on like national television, and it just is amazing. It just sums up the Birthday Party. If you want to check it out, if you don't know the Birthday Party, you don't know heck a lot about them, check out that performance. It's amazing. I picked this up recently. I don't know if I'd say I regret it, but it's kind of expensive for what it turned out to be. You know, on my behalf, I guess I didn't properly do my research. I grabbed a bunch of records from someone who had a really good shipping rate, and I had purchased from before online, and he cut me a pretty good deal. This is the Bad Seed, another Drastic Plastic reissue. So it's not that it's a bad album or a bad pressing. Drastic Plastic are pretty good. Kind of like a maroon marble vinyl. For this one, it's basically 3 records. It's big, it's bulky, and there's only like 10 songs on the whole thing. 3 records, 10 songs. And Birthday Party songs aren't like, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Blue Marble. So it was just kind of expensive for what it is. I should have just done a little bit more research. And then there's little gold 7" in there, and then sleeve for the 7". Like, it's cool, it's nice to have. I'm a really big birthday party fan, but I don't know, I still got it for a good price. I just didn't really realize what it was, that it was only 10 tracks. I thought it was, B-sides and rarities and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, my fault, but it's cool. And the next one, this was my introduction to the birthday party years and years ago, probably about 20 plus years ago by now. Hits. I was hanging out. We were at this place, we used to skateboard at, and this older guy that we kind of knew, but we didn't hang out with really. He showed up and just hung out with us for a while, and he brought a little portable CD player and speakers like you had to back in like the late 90s kind of thing, and he was playing all this really weird music that none of us had ever heard, and he put on, I'm quite sure, is this album, and I remember not really thinking much of it until Nick the Stripper, the 4th track, came on. I was just like, wow, this is really cool. And then I found out that it was the birthday party. I didn't really know, but I found out that it was Nick Cave, who at the time I was kind of into or trying to get into. I'll address that in a minute. Live birthday party album, 81 to 82. Nothing great. I picked this up for like $10, 10 or 15, I can't remember. Double album. This one's on 4AD. Yeah, I haven't even listened to it yet. I've only had it for a week or so, maybe 2 weeks. I had it in my haul video. The birthday party, Welcome to the Car Smash. This is a bootleg, and I don't usually buy bootlegs, but someone gave this to me. I bought some albums off him through Discogs, and I had bought some off of him a while ago, and he knew I liked the birthday party, and he had this, and he's like, I can't sell it because Discogs has blocked bootlegs. He's like, I'll just give it to you. You obviously like birthday party. I was like, cool. I haven't listened to it. I literally haven't even listened to it yet, so I'm not sure what it is. I don't think the birthday parties sound great live. It's more of the spectacle of seeing them live, I think. No More Shall We Part, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. So this is lumped in with the birthday party because this is literally the only Nick Cave record that I have. And it is actually signed, which is cool. And it comes with a VIP pass to the Nick Cave show in Toronto in 2018. So I actually own this on CD probably right around when it came out. I don't know, I've struggled to get into the Bad Seeds. I bought Murder Ballads when it came out, and I kind of liked it, but I was more into like industrial and industrial metal and stuff, Ministry, 9 Inch Nails, and things like that, because it would have been around the same time frame. Even alternative, I was more into like Pavement and Sonic Youth and stuff, and there were some good tracks on it, but I just didn't love it. And my other friends who had been into Nick Cave longer than me, they were telling me to check out his earlier albums, and I bought a couple of them, and I just wasn't feeling it. And then like 2004, I think this is from, originally. When it came out, I was in Indonesia, and it was really cheap. It was locally made, and I bought it, and I just didn't love it. Haven't listened to this. Yes, I did just buy this really recently, so I'll give it another chance, but I vastly prefer the birthday party than the Bad Seeds. Black Flag, I don't know, it's an interesting band. Like, they're controversial in the sense that a lot of people hate them, a lot of people see them, like, love them, but then see them as like a poser band. And other people, they just want to like go toe to toe with you on your Black Flag knowledge, or your, like, I love Black Flag more than you kind of thing. It's really interesting. So I was introduced to Black Flag, again, probably in the mid-90s, just through my punk buddies. And I remember liking them more than a lot of the punk that they played, because they were more into new school, like Rancid and Pennywise. Well, I guess Pennywise go old school as well, but like newer Pennywise and stuff like that. Bad Religion, but again, newer, like mid-90s Bad Religion. I didn't really like that stuff, and I started to get into old school punk, and I liked it more. which is why I think Black Flag stuck out. I genuinely don't remember what Black Flag records they were playing back then, but I liked it more than most of the stuff they played. Revisiting them, worked with an American guy when I was living in Indonesia, and he, brought all his CDs over from the US, and we, would swap, and, I'd give him CDs to check out, and he'd give me CDs to check out, and I listened to this, and I was like, wow, that definitely doesn't sound like I remember. So, I don't know, maybe I heard Damage, I probably didn't, I probably heard something else, but just how heavy this is compared to other punk rock of its time, and it's still fast, and this is Damage, before they kind of slowed their speed down, which is what M.I.T.Y is. Probably, I don't know, between this and Damaged are my favorite Black Flag. I don't know, it's so hard to say. I do really, really like this record. It was hard for me for a long time to choose between this and Slip It In, but I think M.I.T.Y is my favorite. Which brings up Slip It In. Good track. I think the B-side is a little weak, which is why I prefer M.I.T.Y and probably Damage now as well. Probably my third, but they didn't release a heck of a lot of full-length albums, other than those three. They did more, but not a heck of a lot. Loose Nut, I've heard other people say it, and it was kind of like I couldn't get into this record, and I couldn't really put my finger on it, and I've read other people mentioning or heard other people mentioning about this having a really bad mix to it, and I agree. And I've been reading Our Band Could Be Your Life, the Michael Azerrad book, and it starts off with Black Flag, who I believe also have the largest chapter, and they talk about going in, I believe it was the recording of Loose Nut. If not, maybe Slip It In, but it would make sense if it happened on this too, where someone went into like the studio where they were recording, and everyone in the band had their hands on the mixing board fighting on, whose level should be where and whatnot. But the mixing on Loose Nut is definitely what puts me off. This one here, this is an interesting one. The debate on whether this is a piece of garbage or an absolutely brilliant, avant-garde, jazz record. I don't know. I personally am on the side that I think this sounds like a really sloppy recorded jam that they turned into an instrumental record. So in the book as well, they mentioned that the title, which a lot of people associate with getting rid of Rollins, it's instrumental, so he's not doing a heck of a lot, is also to see who will stick with the band. And I think there's also an aspect of, seeing whether people will rave about a terrible record, because it has the name Black Flag on it. That's my kind of extraction of that. 6-pack, 12-inch single, only 3 tracks in this, I believe. I don't think I've even put this on. I've got MP3s of it. I don't know, I'm not big on 7 inches, and a 12-inch with 3 tracks is pretty similar. I got this, I don't know, maybe a year ago for like $10. So like, yeah, all right. I Can See You, pretty similar story to this. I've listened to this a bit more because I don't think I have MP3s of this. I got this for like $10. There's only 4 tracks on it. Nothing special about any of my Black Flag pressings. I've got a 7-inch that's kind of rare, but we'll get to those in another video. Annihilate this week. I actually like this. This is probably one of the best tracks off of Loose Nut. Best one yet's good as well. All the tracks on this are on Loose Nut, as I recall. But again, I think I got this for $10 before I realized every track was on Loose Nut. But whatever, it's $10. Black Lips, their debut album, which was actually the last one I had heard. I don't recall why. Oh, this is black. I know I have a couple Black Lips that are colored, like pressings. But this was probably the last album I got to. I kind of lost touch with them after Arabia Mountain, or yeah, I think it's Arabia Mountain. Kind of lost touch with them after that. I didn't really like their sound from what I had heard. They were just changing, and got rid of that charming lo-fi DIY aesthetic that I really liked. This is good. I haven't really listened to this album. I remember having it on MP3s like a decade ago, maybe even longer, and I lost it. I don't know. I ended up losing my files and couldn't retrieve them. We did not know the forest spirit made the flowers grow. I really like this album, but I always have to read the title because I can never remember it. M.I.A. starts out good. I think this is a good record. I always kind of went between this and Let It Bloom, but Let It Bloom is my favorite. I think this is overall my favorite Black Lips album. Okay, this must be colored. I believe this one is orange vinyl. Nothing special, just thought I'd mention. I knew one of them was. It's a good record. Let It Bloom. See Ya Blasphemy, Can't Dance, Boomerang, Hippie Hippie Hurrah. Just really great, 4 tracks to start up the album. And it's pretty consistent, but the 4 opening tracks are so good. I definitely have a lot of memories of listening to this on my way to work in Jakarta, like just sitting in traffic in the afternoon on the way home and listening to that almost every day for like a year or something, maybe once a week for a year. Good, Bad, Not Evil. This is one of my another album that I kind of came back to after the fact, which is, I think this is kind of where they started to break out. Their sound definitely started to improve. They started to, get a little better production. I think they started to understand, just playing their instruments better. They had a really different approach to songwriting, which is good. I think for this album, they really totally carried it off. Oh, Katrina actually hear on the radio, like at work a lot, which is interesting. And Veni Vidi Vici, they had a video for that that's quite good. Both of those are really great tracks. Bad Kids, I saw them live, and everybody, and probably about 4 years ago, and a very young crowd, and everybody was cheering like, play Bad Kids, play Bad Kids. And then finally, like their third last song, they played Bad Kids, and everybody left except for maybe a dozen and a half people. Me and my friends stayed, and just walked right up to the stage and stood like 2 feet from the stage, and they played 2 or 3 more tracks, and they came out and did 2 or 3 more songs as an encore. It's like, that's really weird. My friend's like, oh yeah, they had Bad Kids was in a movie or a TV show or something, and they got kind of famous. So it was like all the posers that just came to see him play Bad Kids and then left. Arabia Mountain. I think this is a good record, but it's definitely kind of like my cutoff point for the Black Lips. This is a kind of peachy marble vinyl. It's good. It's a really good record, and I think they kind of are able to, again, pull off that really high quality, good production level here and still make a good record. After that, though, I haven't really liked what I've heard, and they're like repping Gucci and like going to fashion shows and stuff now is just really weird. Very different than the Black Lips that I kind of became familiar with. Big band for me. I think anyone who's into indie music, into metal, has got to give at least a little bit of respect to Black Sabbath. This is such an amazing record. I was into Black Sabbath hugely when I was like 14, 15, 16, maybe getting into 17. And I never really listened to this record. I don't know why. I don't know if I owned it. I really can't remember, because I was definitely into a couple later albums, which I will show you in a couple minutes. But now that I'm older, revisiting them, I love this. I genuinely love this album. It is amazing. To think this came out in, what was it? Is it 70? Can't remember, but yeah, it's just unbelievable. It's like 69, 70, 71. I can't remember. I think 70 or 71. But this is, one of my prized records. It's not the Vertigo pressing, unfortunately, but this is the first Canadian pressing on Warner Brothers. You can see the little Canadian leaf or maple leaf in the top, and this is in such amazing condition. I even have like the original sleeve that it came in. I've switched it out because these things are bad for paper scuffs. And I've got it in like a nice, what do you call it? Plastic lined sleeve, because this is an amazing record. One of the, it's not worth like hundreds of dollars or anything, but it's just so cool that I have an original Canadian pressing in like perfect, almost perfect condition. There's like a little bit of scuffing on the edges here, and other than that, like you would probably think this was pressed in the 90s or 2000s. The record, like I don't think it was even played before I, brought it home. Definitely had this back in the 90s. I listened to this a lot. Paranoid. I think a lot of people, at least my friends my age kind of thing, this was kind of our introduction to Black Sabbath. And this is an early, or I think this is first Canadian pressing again, with the gatefold. If not, it's the second pressing that was very early, like the same year. War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man, Electric Funeral, just like awesome. I still like this, but yeah, the original Black Sabbath album is amazing, and this has the original sleeve in it as well. It's just like pristine. This is like in such good condition. There's like a little bit of shelf wear at the top. Other than that, like this looks like it's brand new, but it's and I think it might be a second pressing, but it's very old, like the year that it was released. And Master of Reality, definitely probably my second. I definitely owned this in high school. This one's got a little bit more wear on the spine, but the record itself is an early, I think this might be a first pressing. I can't recall 100%, but it is old. This one does not have that original inner sleeve, but they're generic anyway. But this is good. I would probably say I would put them in order release. Black Sabbath is my favorite. Then I would go Paranoid, and then Master of Reality. And this one, I remember owning this as well. I just couldn't get into this record back then, and I just can't get into it now. Not that it's bad, it's just not on par with the first 4 albums. I don't have Volume 4, unfortunately. I've been looking for an original pressing for a while. I see them once in a while, but I just, for some reason, passed them by when I could get them for a good price. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and this is an original pressing as well. Not as impressive for this one to be an original pressing. They're quite cheap, but you're not really gonna walk into a record store and see it kind of thing, an original pressing. So it's kind of cool to have it. I do need Volume 4 in a first or original pressing just to kind of complete that, in my opinion, the kind of golden era of Black Sabbath. Clocking in a little bit less than usual, so that's kind of good. Stay tuned for my next installation. It'll probably be maybe a little bit early today, or later today, and hopefully up early this week. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all again soon.